as part of our day 3 exercise, today what we are going to learn basically uh, two things. One is what are templates and how we can use it in Django.
Mm-hmm.
What are different ways to basically use templates in Django? What are the benefits of using it? Second
Mm-hmm.
thing that we're going to understand is what is static content. So, I mean, how you can basically try and render static content on your web. Static content can be image, right? Image is a static content, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, if you have some images in your project, two static images in your project, how you can basically render that in Django. So, I mean, these two things we will try and understand for today, and we will see like we will do some hands-on also. So first of all, let's
Okay.
go through the go through some theory part. I mean, 15 minutes theory part, and then we will move on to the hands-on part. So let me just
Mm-hmm.
share my screen. Yeah, let me know once you are able to see.
Yeah, I can see your screen.
Okay. So let me just drag it. Where is the place of this? So So, so today we are going to check out on templates. What exactly templates are in Django. So templates are uh, basically makes your website look very much interactive. I mean, on doing some change on your website, right? Like you clicking on something, the details of that content, details of that specific link opens. So like let's Gmail. Take an example of Gmail itself. You click
Mm-hmm.
on the inbox item, the email, and if you on click of it, there is a detail of that email gets open, right? So that's a dynamic content, and
Mm-hmm.
so that's where templates are being used in Django. That's how I mean, if you want to do the same thing in Django, you can do it via templates. And templates are the way which makes your website looks your website more interactive and display the data dynamically. So I mean that's what templates are used for.
Mm-hmm.
So for now, we can just focus on the basics of templates. I mean, we will not go in directly fetching data from that database. We'll just focus on how basically we can write templates in Django and what are the ways, or how, what is the syntax of it. So basically, we will just try and understand the syntax of it and get used to it, and then we will go into the more intricacies of it once we advance in our course.
Mm-hmm.
So there are template tags. I mean, to define a template, first of all, you need to create a template folder, and in
Mm-hmm.
that you have to basically define an HTML file.
Mm-hmm.
And so once you have defined your HTML file, you have to tell Django by declaring a setting in the settings.py file that this is where your templates directory is located at. The same way we did it for the app, right? You remember yesterday
Mm-hmm.
we registered our app in the settings.py file. Same way we have to also register the templates folder that we have. The new templates folder we will create and we will register it in the settings.py file. Once that is done, we have to now uh, go into the HTML file and try and print some data, dynamic data. For that, we have to basically use curly braces that we have. I mean, uh, we can directly use curly braces.
Mm-hmm.
I'll not go into that theory part more. Let's try and get into the hands-on thing. So
Okay.
basically, what we have to do, first of all, to create a template, we have to first go.
Mm-hmm.
Yesterday's project that we worked upon, we have the first
Mm-hmm.
step and first project in place. So in the first
Mm-hmm.
project itself, we have to create a folder called as template.
Okay.
Okay. Let's give it a name templates. Now we have to tell Django that this templates folder is basically where your templates are located. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So let's save it and go to that. settings.py file. Now here you see, right, there is a interesting thing that is happening. There is a base directory path that it is having.
Okay.
So let me just stop this build that is running. Now we will, before going into that setting, I mean, adding the templates directory into the, I mean, mapping the templates directly in the settings of PY file, we will just try and understand how, what exactly this base directory is. Okay. So,
Okay.
so what happens? I mean, currently you are in, I am working on Mac, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you download this program and you start working on Windows, or let's say Linux, then what happens? I mean, the path where this program is running, right, will be different for each and every machine, right? So for me, it is running somewhere in Divyesh Sharma slash first project slash some folder, right? This specific
Mm-hmm.
file is there in that specific folder. For you, it might
Mm-hmm.
be there in your user directory. Now, so to make this file location generic, to define this file location generic, there is a way to do that. Is to basically, so there is a variable called as underscore file, which basically gives, which basically retrieves the current file path. Means it will retrieve the file path of settings.py, and it will try and resolve it by using path underscore file, and it will try and access the parent. So for settings.py, the parent will be what? First underscore project. And
Mm-hmm.
parent of that will be the root folder, that is first underscore project.
Can you please explain again?
Sorry,
The path, the complete
the
path
complete path. Okay.
description. Yeah.
So I'll just print it for you, and then we will
Mm-hmm.
try and understand it, what exactly is happening. So I'll just print underscore file, and you also try. I mean, once you have this thing.
Yeah, yeah. Video, yeah.
So what I'll do, I'll just run Python. First of all, I need to go into settings.py. I'm already there. So let's see. I can run Python settings.py. I have to go actually. Okay. Now if I run settings.py, you see it basically gives me the file name, settings.py.
Mm-hmm.
Now if I print one thing one by one, let's print this thing, path dot path path of this file. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Path. Okay. Now I'll just print it again. I'll just run it again. Again, it's same. Now I'll do a resolve. So resolve will basically resolve the path of it. So you see, right, it gives me the entire path of my file. Now I can go, if I just try and open, basically it takes me just to the uh, same location.
Mm-hmm.
We are trying to see, I mean, if you run the same command in your local, you will get the settings that full, I mean, the
The
absolute
yeah,
path of your file.
exact path. Yeah.
Yeah. Why? Because I mean, if you deploy deploy this program, right? So this
Mm-hmm.
file path will become different in the server. And if
Mm-hmm.
you keep it static, right here, if I let's say define path like this, path equal to or base directory, sorry,
Mm-hmm.
if I just define base directory
Mm-hmm.
like this static path, that won't work, right? Because in every machine the path structure will be different, the folder structure will
Mm-hmm.
be different. So to basically cope up with that, we have to first we have to make the path dynamic, so that
Mm-hmm.
it takes the path wherever the settings.py file is lying. So with the
Mm-hmm.
help of this class path and this underscore file is a variable, is a special function that gives us the file name, and you apply the path class on top of it and do a resolve, it will give you the entire path. Now if we do dot parent means it will give us the parent folder. So let's check it out. Let's do a parent. Okay. So let's run it. So you see, right, it gives me the parent. So first was first underscore project slash settings.py. Now I did dot parent, so it gave me first project, right? Now if I do one more time dot parent, so it will give me the root folder path. I mean the first project where our project is basically running. So you see, right? So it goes one level up in every parent
Mm-hmm.
we call. So now what we have to do, we have to basically map. So you see this base directory, right? This base directory is pointing to the first project, this folder. Now this folder, from this folder, we have to basically map this template folder. Okay. So let me declare a variable. You got till this point, right? Ankita, Ankit, sorry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So what I will do, I will declare a folder templates underscore dir, and here I will try and join two paths. I will first of all join base directory plus or slash. I will just give templates.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So the problem with this, I mean, this will work fine, but the problem is sometimes this slash works in Mac, but doesn't work in Windows. So the safest way to do it basically is to basically perform is to import a lib called as OS. Import OS. Import OS is a library which provides uh, all the OS capabilities that we have. So we will make use of that and try and join os.path.join. Okay, what it will do, it will basically join two paths. So we have one path called as base directory, and we have the other
Mm-hmm.
path that is path that is called as templates. Okay, now let's print this thing and see. Let's see what exactly we are getting. Okay, so you see, right? Now we are getting from the root folder the templates now. The templates now that we want, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is the, if I just go
Okay, so
here,
you printing that, yeah.
yeah. So I'm just printing that. If I
Mm-hmm.
click here, if I again click here, you see where the pointer is going. It goes to the
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
template
that's
folder.
pointing to the.
Yeah. Now we have to tell Python or Django that this templates directory lies in this path. So we have configured the path. We got the path. Now we have to configure this value at a place below. Let me copy this. There is a place called as templates, right? So we have this thing called as directory, where exactly the directories are. So we can just paste it here, templates, and have a comma in place. Okay. So this will tell Django that here the directory, the template directory is available. Now this is this up to this thing it is fine. We have done all sort of configuration, that is the prerequisite configuration to have templates in place. Now comes the main core part where we have to declare the HTML file and try and write some code, HTML code in that, like HTML head, body, right? And let's try and render that HTML file first. Okay, let's try and bind that HTML template file with our view first. Okay, and then we will move on to rendering some dynamic content. Okay, so first step is to create an HTML file. So let's go ahead and right click and add a new file
Mm-hmm.
called as index.html.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now this is a new file that got created. Now we will add some HTML content in it. Let's say so. So for to have this emmet or uh, this snippets enabled, what you can do, you can install some extensions called as HTML snippets, which will help you to write HTML code. I mean, you can just write HTML like this, then body, uh, then I mean head. Okay, like this you can just write in, and it will basically create tags for you. And the same way, you can just type in body
Mhm.
and type enter. It will create with text for you. So, so we will declare the HTML. You can write manually also, but if you want to save time and I mean, uh, automate this writing this boring HTML thing, right? Because sometimes we feel HTML is boring, right? There is no logic in it, just a simple HTML. But
Mhm.
don't get me with my words.
Okay.
But I mean, because to be frank, developers, if you are a developer, you will always try and find the easy way to approach a problem, right? Easy
Mhm.
and the more robust way to approach a problem. So writing code, lengthy code, I mean, is a time consuming task. So generally, what developers do,
Mhm.
they basically go and make use of snippets. So snippets are
Okay.
already available code,
Uh-huh.
like I just used, right? HTML had so it will just generate some tags for me, and
Mhm.
the body it will generate a body tag for me. So I don't need to type in all this thing and do the formatting. It will do it for me. So let me type title here.
Mhm.
So I will just type in this is Django templates class. Okay, and let's print some h1. Uh, Django. So this is a simple thing we are just trying to print. Now let's go back. I mean, now we have just we are done with the HTML declaration thing. Now we have to basically tell our view from the URL, from the URL route we call the view, right? We call the view using the index function.
Mhm.
We have to tell our view that we have this index.html view or the template that you can use for rendering the data. So to do that, we have to go back, I mean, one class back, right, where we declared this views class and we had this
Mhm.
index and request created, right?
Mhm.
So, so what I will basically remove this. Now, previously we just written the HTTP response.
Okay.
Today we will make use of function called as render,
Mhm.
which is in the Django shortcuts namespace, the render function. So let me just remove this HTTP response thing, and let me type in render. So, if you see here, it has some parameters that it is accepting. I mean, one is the request. The request, as usual, the request that we are getting in the index is an argument. Second is the template name. So here is the key part, template name, which it is asking. So we will give the template name here as, so
Mhm.
if so, I mean, I will give the request, and second is the template name. The
So what
template
does it
name,
do? Like return render difference between HTTP response.
yeah. So HTTP response is basically a simple response. It will return. It will basically accept some
Just
string,
print
and
that. Okay. Kind of.
yeah, yeah. So just print that, and render will be something that if you want to render some dynamic data by the use of templates, so render is will be used in that direction.
Mhm.
So I mean, if I type render, right, we are having few arguments. One argument is the request type.
Mhm.
Second argument is the template. So template is where we is accepting the template
Mhm.
name. So we our template name is,
Uh, index.
yeah,
Okay.
index.html. So
Uh,
we'll declare index.html here,
mhm.
and the other part, the other arguments will come later. So let's just try and print index.html,
Mhm.
index.html.
Mhm.
Okay, and let's see whether it runs. Before that, I just want to make one change because we have this first app, right? So let's remove this, and let's keep it simple. Let's have a blank string for it so that on
Mhm.
load of page, our application renders. Okay, so now I will run the application. Cd dot dot. So it is up and running. I will go to the application now. So you see it, right? So in the title, we are seeing this is Django templates class.
Mm-hmm.
Title is something that will be displayed on the tab of your browser,
Mm-hmm.
in the header of your browser, and the body that we had displayed was hi from Django class, right? So
Mm-hmm.
let's
So
do
it's
some.
access page, right? Or like where the Django default page was there, and then we are just adding new things like last time also, right? So
Yes, yes,
like
yes.
it's the same web page, same URL.
Yeah, I mean, same code is there. We're just trying
Mm-hmm.
to, add some things on top of it, so that I
Mm-hmm.
mean, we try and understand, right? Because when you try to do hands-on, right, you will not create the new project every time.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just, I mean, trying to make it easy so that when you try to do hands-on, by maybe
Mm-hmm.
either by watching this tutorial or by trying it with yourself, so it will be
Mm-hmm.
easy for you to do. So what I did, I just did like this.
Mm-hmm.
We can do another thing also. We can do control Z. I mean, let's keep the http response as it is, and we
Mm-hmm.
can have one more thing created. So let's one more view created. Let's control C and control V, and I will give it a templates example. Okay, they will give it a name as
Mm-hmm.
templates example, and here I will type in the render function. Render, that it will be again, I mean, kind of easy to understand. Request, so we will try and render it. Request comma, so we will have index.html
Mm-hmm.
as the name. Now I will try and configure this view also. So let's go to the main the app urls.py. There I will type in path templates. Okay, templates example underscore example. Now here I will give use dot control v. I mean the view that we have, right?
Mm-hmm.
The method that we created. So let's just save it, and I hope everything is saved. Yeah, let's run it. So here again you see the hello world is coming, but if I go
Mm-hmm.
on the top and type slash templates example, so you see the new the data that we are getting is from the index.html page.
Mm-hmm.
Any queries, Ankit? Till now, are we good?
Yeah. Can
Okay.
you just show me again that code, the VS code?
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, Not this one. Template start exam slash
This one.
example. Okay. So these all the URLs are getting connected in here. These view function,
Yes.
right?
Yes. So how they are getting connected? So how they are getting connected? So you define the path here, the URL path here, the route path.
Mm-hmm.
Route
Mm-hmm.
path means here this path. I mean slash. If I
Mm-hmm.
type templates underscore example, so this path is defined here,
Mm-hmm.
and this path will map to which view or which method of the view. So we are already importing from first
Correct.
underscore app import views. So this views file is getting imported,
Okay.
and
Okay.
now what we're typing in views dot template example. So if I go and do control C and go here,
Mm-hmm.
you will see that this is the one which we are talking about.
Mm-hmm.
So Django keeps a routing table. It keeps whatever routes we are declaring here, right?
Mm-hmm.
This will be there with Django. Uh, uh, I mean, in a form called as dictionary form, right? Here it's same thing, right? Key and value. As
Mm-hmm.
soon as the key, I mean, as soon as user enters a specific URL path, which
Mm-hmm.
Django will recognize, okay, this is the key that he is trying to access. It will
Mm-hmm.
automatically redirect to that template.
Mm-hmm. Okay, got it. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so so this is how this is. Now we will do some try to do some interesting thing. I want to print some dynamic data here. Let's say from view I want to send some data, and that data should be printed here. Okay, so let's give it a name. I mean, let's try and hire from Django class. My name, I will just print my name. My name is Divyesh. My name is. If I do Divyesh, it will be okay. I mean, it will be coming. But so in Django, if you want to print some dynamic content, you can use the string interpolation classes. The string interpolation string, this curly braces, double curly braces will treat any
Mm-hmm.
content in HTML that you write. If you declare a double curly braces, it will treat it
Mm-hmm.
as a dynamic content. So dynamic
Mm-hmm.
content means from the view that is calling this HTML will send
Mm-hmm.
that specific data. So I will just type in name. Okay, I'll just type in like this. Let me go back to the views function. So to
Mm-hmm.
send the name property, right, which we are referring here, we have to go to views function and we have to create a dictionary first.
Mm-hmm.
So just try and understand. So we will just create a dictionary called as my I mean data is equal to. So to declare dictionary, we use curly braces, right? And here
Yeah.
I will just give it a name, the
Okay.
property that I want to send. So this is the property that
Mm-hmm.
I want to send. So same name I will use, name, and even
Mm-hmm.
the uh, uh, even I will keep the casing also same. If the n is capital, I will keep it the same because that will be
Mm-hmm.
case sensitive. Now
Mm-hmm.
I will pass the data here. I mean, let me put my name here. Okay, so you have the property that you want to send to the view, and you have the
Mm-hmm.
value also that you want to send the view to the view. I mean, property associated with the value associated with the property. You have both things. Now, only thing
Mm-hmm.
you have to do is pass this data to this render function. So what we have to do, there is a object called as context. If you
Mm-hmm.
see context is nothing but it will be a context object that HTML class understands.
Mm-hmm.
So this context object we have to just bind it with the data object. So we'll just put in context is equal to data. Once that is done,
Mm-hmm.
I'll just do a save. Let me do a save of index.html also, and let's go back to the class and let's refresh it.
Mm-hmm.
So you see,
Okay.
right? My name is Divyesh Sharma.
Mm-hmm.
So now the first thing that we saw was just to bind the HTML with our new class.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Uh, I mean, just render the static content. Then we saw how to render dynamic content. Now
Mm-hmm.
this view data that we have retrieved, right? Name, column, the dictionary that we have prepared, the key as name. The value of that can also be retrieved dynamic. I mean, I can dynamically retrieve from database my name, Divyesh Sharma, and
Mm-hmm.
I can bind it to the dictionary itself and then send
Mm-hmm.
it to the view. That
Mm-hmm.
way, I mean, it will become fully dynamic thing. Currently, it's being static, right? I have defined here static. I'm not retrieving it from any database. But later point of time, when you work with dynamic content, that's how we are going to do. So for our understanding, so we have just taken here a static value and then passed it to the index.html, and that's how the dynamic name is coming.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Uh, got it, Ankit?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So that's what I actually template exactly is. Now we will talk about. I mean, this is what I was having for templates to explain. Now we will
Mm-hmm.
talk about static content. Okay. Now in a website, generally in a website, there are many images that you might you might require, right? Images in the sense of static images. Let's say the icon of your website or
Mm-hmm.
the header image of your website, right? If you're building some brand, company brand website, right, which represents your company. or your client, for if you're working for a client, right? For a
Mm-hmm.
business, it represents the brand of the business.
Mm-hmm.
Then that can be also an image, right? That there
Mm-hmm.
can be an icon that can be as an image,
Yeah.
as well as there can be several other static images. So all those static images, what if we require to have it in Django? How can we basically render them in Django? So there is a way to do that. I mean, there is a process in Django that we should follow. That is to use static files or static folder. Okay, so static files contains three types of static files. One is images. Okay, images I explained. Second is CSS class. So let's say your entire website requires. I mean, when you write an HTML code, you might require some HTML or the CSS classes to be used, right, for styling it, for styling your HTML. I mean, uh, whether to keep the font bold, to have specific font size, to have some color of your font, right? So for doing that, it requires CSS. So you are aware about CSS, right? Okay.
Mm, no, I'm not aware of CSS.
Okay. We'll go through that. So
Mm-hmm.
I mean, in Gmail itself, let's take an example of Gmail. You might have seen
Mm-hmm.
some bold. Some of the content is written in bold, while some of the
Yeah.
content is written in
Mm-hmm.
italics, right? So those are
Mm-hmm.
styling. I mean, you can define in HTML. So to do
Mm-hmm.
that, we use CSS thing. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So we will go through that how we can do it. So CSS. So the point that I was trying to explain is there are three types of static files. One is images or
Mm-hmm.
any kind of media file. Second
Mm-hmm.
is your CSS files. Third is your JavaScript files. So JavaScript files will not, I mean, discuss about more because we will not be going to use JavaScript in our class for now. We are just going to concentrate on Django and HTML.
Yeah.
So, just you can keep it in mind. This can be three types of files which can be treated as static. And now to
Mm-hmm.
refer those static files in Django, we have to basically create a static folder, and there we have to keep it. We have to bind this static folder with our settings.py file, similar way we did it for templates.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Same way, what we are going to do now, we will go back again to the first project, and we will again create a folder here in the first project called as static. Okay. This will contains our images. So for to segregate the images and everything, so let's type in images here.
Mm-hmm.
And for static, for this we will just type in CSS also for our just for our this thing. So these two things we are going to discuss. Now to tell Python, to tell
Mm-hmm.
Django that there is a static file which you have to consider. There is a static folder which you have to consider. So,
Mm-hmm.
so where exactly we can do that the same way we did it for templates. We did some
Mm-hmm.
configuration for templates, right? Where exactly we did it?
We have to go and define the path, right?
Yeah, but where?
In the first project,
Yes, first project.
there in um, settings.
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
So we defined templates directly here,
Mm.
and we also defined the path
A
of it.
path of that what that particular
Correct.
text is containing. Yeah,
So
continue.
same way we have to define the static path. So
Huh.
it will be this the content of the static path will be same. Only the name of the folder will change. So here the folder name is templates.
Mm-hmm.
For a static path, it will be static, right?
Okay.
Static like this. So let's just copy this and just paste it. I will rename this folder as static underscore dir. And over here only I will just change the static.
Mm-hmm.
So this is how our static file path gets declared.
Mm-hmm.
Now what we will do, we will just try and associate the static directory the same way we did it for a templates directory, right? If you go
Mm-hmm.
down, there is a nice documentation for static files. You see, right? Static files. It is already mentioned. There are three types of static files: CSS, JavaScript,
Mm-hmm.
and images. So you can go and refer this documentation.
Mm-hmm.
So let's just go to it once. It will also give you an example how you can
How to
use the
how to
static
static
files.
files.
Yeah, static
Okay.
files. So this is a nice documentation. This is the official documentation website of Django.
Mm.
Whenever you see that you're not getting anything, you can just go to the documentation section and try and
Okay.
refer it. Whenever there are multiple updates that comes. So for newer
Okay.
version of Django also you can refer it, as well as for the current version that if you're working on some version, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this is what documentation is. Now let's go back, come back to the settings.py file.
Okay.
Now we will try and associate the static file folder that the path we gave, right? We just try and
Mm-hmm.
associate here. So to do that, we have to basically define there is a syntax for it. So we have to just write static files underscore dirs. This is a syntax for defining static file. It generally doesn't appear directly, and intelligence won't work sometimes. So we have to write again in the form of array and give it a static directory path like this. Okay, so let's just try and render the image first. Okay, so this is the configuration. The configuration was configuring the static path is done. Now we will just try and render an image. Let's see how we can do that. So I've already downloaded one image which basically contains. If I go to download, I
Mm-hmm.
already one image that is downloaded, Django.jpg. If I open it, I mean
Mm-hmm.
this is the famous guitarist on by whose name we got the name of this technology is Django. This is the
Mm-hmm.
guitarist Django Reinhardt. Right? So I will just try and copy this image in the image folder, images folder. So let's try and do that. So I will go to my document structure again. We'll go to the place where my training folders are. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So let me display one side by side. We'll do the Django project, first project, and the static. I will go to the images part. I'll just
Mm-hmm.
do Control V. As soon as I did, I pasted it. You see, if I expand the thing here, it comes here,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
So
And
now, yeah,
CSS?
CSS we will come. I
Okay.
mean, we'll try
Okay.
and do the CSS, but let's just try and access the image that we have in our Python project,
Mm-hmm.
and we will again we'll do some more exercise with that. But I'll just try to explain whether our this thing works or not. The static configuration that we did, right? So to check that, what we have to do, we have to just go here and type in static.
Mm-hmm.
It already came. So static slash images, the folder path, static slash images, and the actual Django file name,
Mm-hmm.
the image name. So if I press enter, you see
Oh.
that it appears.
Mm-hmm. So we
This
defined that the path in the settings
yes,
directory,
yes,
and now we just have. So you literally typed all these, right? The
yes, correct,
URL. Mm-hmm.
correct,
So you're going into that directory and displaying that image.
yes.
Mm-hmm.
So, so why this is important? Because let's say this is something I was trying to show you how static content can load. I mean, how it
Mm-hmm.
loads. You can directly load also in browser. But but now, if you want to, let's say, where were we? I mean, in the templates underscore example, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let's say in this example itself, my name is Vivek Sharma. I want to show that image. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
So how can we do that? So the first thing we learned is how to configure the static folder path. First of all,
Mm-hmm.
we have declared the static folder. Inside that, we
Mm-hmm.
declared two folders, CSS and images. We copied one image in the image folder.
So for the
Then
static, in the setting file to mm, static directory, there is a different. Oh no, you have just named it as static files in dirs and then
yes,
stated that path.
yeah. So this is the term that Django understands to refer
Mm-hmm.
where exactly our which all folders can be considered as static directories. So you can define multiple static directories. There can be a case sometimes some of the people also declare static directory at the app level. So that can also be done. If at an app level, you can define static directory and you can configure that static folder path there and defer it in a form of an array, multiple static directory paths.
Okay.
It will try and make use of all those things and it will try and retrieve data from all those static path if any image tries to find.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So first thing we learned the declaration of folders, images and static folder. Then we learned the configuration of path, how to link, how to tell Django this is where your static folder is located. Now third thing we will learn is to basically uh, combine these all things into a template. How to render a static content in our template. So let's go to
Mm-hmm.
template file again. The first concept we learned is that is index.html. Now we will try and load the static content here. So to do that, we have to basically go on the top. We have to first of all go and declare the syntax to declare that this specific template contains static static content. Okay, the specific template contains is static content. This is what we have to basically have it. So why it is not coming? Because my language modes are not working in Visual Studio, so I have to shift it to Django HTML. So you see right now it is coming as something proper. Now let's declare an image tag here. Image, image. Okay. Again, let me switch to Django HTML. Let me define. Let me first of all define the image. Here I will have to basically go and give the. Don't go by this switching that I'm doing. Just
Mm-hmm.
try and see what exactly you're typing. So in image tag there are two things.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, if you are aware about the image tag in HTML, there are two things. There is a source. The source will define the location of your image, the image that you are trying to render. Okay.
It's a
And
syntax to display image in HTML.
yes, this is syntax. Correct.
Mm-hmm.
And
Oh.
alt means, let's say you image was not able to found. I mean, image was not present at this location where we are
Mm-hmm.
trying to get it from. So this alt will get displayed if your image is not there. So
Okay.
we'll just give in this is not found, or
Mm-hmm.
maybe just type in not found.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And in the source now here comes the magic actually. This is where we have to type in the the, the this is where we have to type in. So we have to basically type in like this percentage. Okay. Then static and then the path of the image. Where exactly our path is? We have configured the static folder path till static in the settings that we were. Now we have to go via the child folder path, that is images slash django.jpeg
Mm-hmm.
column percentage that place is closed. Let's save it and run it. You see, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, so this is a syntax if you want to render some static content. Now let's discuss some CSS. Let's do some styling. Right. What I want to do, styling. What I want to do. I want to display this this title that I have written here. Right. I from the Java class.
Mm-hmm.
My name is Divya Sharma. I want to keep this first first line as a first line before full stop.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, in H1 tag, H1 is something that bigger size of text. I will
Mm-hmm.
in the second line I will want to keep it in H2 tag, and the second line I want to have it in some color. I want to give some color. Okay, let's say
Mm-hmm.
red color or something. Let's go back and here the already I am having this H1 class. Right? So let's do a BR. BR is something called as a break. Break in the sense it will form a new line in HTML.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So we'll just
I'll do some crash course type of for HTML and CSS meeting somewhere.
yeah, sure.
Because it's a little difficult learning HTML over here and then you do everything will take time. Yeah.
So let's see what
Hmm.
happened now. You see, right? H1 is coming in some bigger text, H2 is coming in smaller text, but it
Mm-hmm.
is still coming in black color. So let's try and declare some CSS class. So in the CSS folder, I'll try
Mm-hmm.
and create a new file called as main.css. Okay, and I'll define some CSS content here. Let's say H2 for H2, I want color in red.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Okay, let's save it. Now
So
the
basically the
CSS,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
yeah, you're saying something.
नो नो वही मैं बोल कि वो H2 जो आपने हेडर डिफाइन किया है वो रेड में प्रिंट होगा क्योंकि उसके लिए तो
Right.
उसके लिए मेन CSS में करने की क्या जरूरत थी लाइक मेन CSS main dot CSS.
You can give any name. Just gave it a name. I mean, random name. You can just you can do that same thing here also. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
styling. You can give it a style and like this. You can just go and give it a color,
Mm-hmm.
right? So the point of going there. I mean, let's do it first and let's go there.
Mm-hmm.
So you still be done can be done like this. But the point of declaring CSS is, I mean, what if you want every S2 in your page to be declared as red? I mean, to be declared within red color, right? So if you go
Mm-hmm.
with this approach, इससे क्या होगा कि आपको हमेशा ये स्टाइल एक गंदी तरह से लिखना रहेगा, ये गंदे तरीका है। और समझो
Mm-hmm.
आपको आपका रिक्वायरमेंट चेंज हुआ, आपको ये S2 टैग चाहिए ग्रीन में, तो हर जगह जाके चेंज करोगे। लेट्स सी यू हैव
Mm-hmm.
दिस इट इन 10 प्लेसेस, राइट? अब 10 जगह अगर
Mm-hmm.
आपका हुआ तो 10 जगह आपको चेंज लगेगा अगर आपको
हाँ
रेड से
10
ग्रीन
जगह तो
करना।
इसीलिए आप मेन CSS में की
यस,
ओके ओके
दैट्स द रीजन। डू
एक्चुअली
इट
CSS
वंस।
भी थोड़ा देखना पड़ेगा so that I know what is this file main CSS okay no problem मैं देखती हूँ
So, I mean, this is the reason. So, the main concept of Django, don't repeat yourself.
ओके हाँ
Okay. So, we will not repeat for doing same thing again and again. We will declare it once
या
and use it. Okay. So, so let's try and now what we are trying to do. This is also static content, right?
Mm-hmm.
So to basically render that, we have to
Mm-hmm.
declare a link. I mean, first of
Mm-hmm.
all, how we basically access
Mm-hmm.
how we basically access a link. And how we
Mm-hmm.
basically link a CSS in normal HTML class. I mean, we will just declare link.
Mm-hmm.
So here it is giving me link CSS. So I'll just make use of it. So if I want to make use of CSS class, I'll just use link and the relative tag will be style sheet. If it is a JavaScript, the relative tag will be JavaScript, and I will use href tag. Href tag is somewhere is where it will define the path to my CSS class. Now here,
Mm-hmm.
if I want to define the path of my CSS class, what should I write? It will be the same way that I have written my images, right? Images. the way I have defined the images part. So if I want to do the same thing for my CSS class, any idea like what will I write?
Mm, it's reference. Oh, the link you should write, right?
Yeah,
Mm,
I mean just try to relate with the thing that we did for the image right here.
mm-hmm.
We have to do something similar here
So
also.
you just have to give the path, right?
Yes, so yes, so you can relate what exactly you can write. I want to write the path of this main.css here.
Okay. So
Okay,
maybe static. You can write main.css slash. No,
static.
you can start with
Okay,
static, and then in bracket you can write main. Sorry, in double quotes you can write main.css slash. Um,
okay. Yeah, let's try that out. So it will be so we have to first go to main. We have to write main.css, right? Main.css.
hmm.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah, main.css.
Okay,
That's a
let's
fine
try
name,
and
right?
do control save and let's see whether we get the required output. So we are still getting it in black. I think something is missed.
Mm-hmm.
Something is missed here. I mean, we have just directly given main.css. The static
Here the images. So do I have to tell that it's a file because there I have told down that it's an image and then I'm given the image name.
hmm,
Do I have to tell the type also?
type, no, no
Like
yeah, I
यहाँ
mean,
पर
you
तो
have to give the folder name. Yeah,
okay folder name.
yeah, this is
So
the
okay,
folder,
यहाँ
right?
images is a folder name
Yeah,
and static was something the main folder. Okay, yeah,
yeah.
okay.
Static will be the folder where your static thing is
लाइक
declared.
परसेंटेज के बाद स्टैटिक लिखा तो वो मेन फोल्डर था एंड देन उसके
Uh,
बाद ब्रैकेट में उसके अंदर फोल्डर सी एस एस है स्लैश उसके
correct.
अंदर थिंग है.
So my reason, only reason to ask you this question is to basically, I just want to make sure that means you ask me, I mean, you try, I make you understand the things that we are doing, right? So that आप भी थोड़ा सा मतलब एक्टिव रहो, just try to brainstorm also with me. तो उससे क्या होगा कि आपको चीजें जल्दी ग्रास पाएंगे. अब अगर आप जाके घर पे जाके देखोगे ना फिर से तो आपको पता चल जाएगा कि CSS क्यों लिखा है यहाँ पे क्यों इमेज लिखा हुआ है. Only that is the only reason for that I'm asking. Don't get me wrong if I am asking you questions. My
नो प्रॉब्लम
my
आई मीन लाइक
yeah.
ऑब्वियसली दैट विल
Okay.
मेक मी थिंक.
Okay. Good to hear that. तो अब देखेंगे अब देखते हैं इसमें क्या होता है. अभी इसको हमें पहले सेव करना रहेगा. Let's refresh. Oh, sorry. Let's थोड़ा सा ये हो गया. Let's save it. Let's refresh. You see it right? This is how it's getting displayed. So this is the major thing that we wanted to discuss today on templates and static files. Now, I mean, you just go and try and to do the same thing. You try to create if you want to learn more on the HTML front, to try and learn more on the HTML. Try to create some content like declare table, write some static page. Try and do some learn some HTML because later point of time we are going to deal with HTML more and more. Although maybe we will deal in more on the snippets part, snippets because already we try to consume what is there in the market, not to write our own code. So we'll try to consume that and make a website. But so you just try to explore HTML and try to see how you can bind it with template and how you can declare the static thing. Do some hands-on there. After that, I mean, next class, I mean, tomorrow, we will dwell into the modeling part of work. So we'll try to actually define tables in our database. We'll try
Okay.
to form entities. I mean,
Uh-huh.
as a project itself, we will try to create a table
Okay.
and have a relationship between them, a parent and child relationship. And we'll try to do some, I mean, create a modeling of it, and
Mm-hmm.
we'll try to have those models part of the admin module also.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where we will concentrate, and
Okay.
we will also make some use of templates that we learned today.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So for
All right.
today, this is where we stop,
Mm-hmm.
and we'll start tomorrow with some new concept.
All
And do
right.
let me know. I mean, Ankit, if आपको कोई भी क्वेश्चन है, just let me know.
हाँ
आपको ऐसा लग रहा है तो you just type in the comment of the video, or you can mail me
या
also.
हाँ मैं वो तो मैं ईमेल कर दूंगी पर मैंने आपको अपना रिज्यूमे भेजा है तो बस
Okay,
आप
okay.
एज अ रिक्रूटर पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू आप देखना और
ठीक है,
मुझे कुछ क्वेश्चंस पूछना बिकॉज आई हैव नो आइडिया कि इस डोमेन में कैसे क्वेश्चंस आएंगे ठीक है
I'll help you there. मैं
या
आपको
सो
हेल्प करूंगा.
क्योंकि मुझे पता है कि बहुत कुछ मुझे अलग से भी ऐसे पढ़ना ही पड़ेगा बहुत सारी चीज़ें इंटरनेट पे इधर उधर बट इंटरव्यू पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से क्या पूछ सकते हैं कितना बोलना चाहिए ये नहीं मतलब आप जितना क्वेश्चन करेंगे